What is up, internet? I just wanted to make a quick video about kind of things I got wrong about Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies in general. I did post a video, I think back in May 24th, where I said, EOS is about to skyrocket based on fundamental economic principles. Back then, EOS was trading at about $11 a token, and now it's trading around $2 a token. So I was kind of wrong about that. And I was basically wrong about Bitcoin as well, because I started buying Bitcoin around the summer of 2017 when it was at like $4,000, and I kept buying all the way up, and I've actually been buying all the way down too. So I think right now I have about $9,000 in Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. I think my average Bitcoin purchase is around $8,000 at this point. Obviously, we're less than half of that at 3,500 per Bitcoin as we speak. So, yeah, in hindsight, I kind of wish that I would have just waited and not bought the top like a lot of people did. But in the long run, I think that we will see new all-time highs, and I think that there is a ton of potential in the blockchain space and Bitcoin as well. So, what I got wrong about EOS, I thought with just the tokenomics and the incentive structures with EOS, and I believed in the people that are behind the project, that I thought, as soon as the mainnet launched and projects started staking their tokens for bandwidth basically on the network, then that would free up a lot of the supply, and people would want to basically FOMO in, and other companies would need to buy large amounts of EOS so that they could stake. So I just thought that for sure the price would go up, but it didn't. I really wasn't expecting a year-long bear market, and that's still ongoing. And I also didn't expect things to develop so slowly on EOS. In hindsight, I probably should have just known that things take a long time to build. Nobody just gets mass adoption right away, and especially in a bear market where everything's tanking, a lot of people are skeptical, and people are basically just waiting for the bottom at this point, waiting for the next bull run to start. So I've been buying into crypto and Bitcoin just about every month. I think in a couple of days I'll be buying another $1,000 of Bitcoin. Usually around the middle of the month, I'll put an extra $1,000 in, and I intend on doing that over the next 12 months. So I'll probably dollar cost average about $12,000 over the next 12 months into crypto, and in 12 months from now, if we're at $500 of Bitcoin, I'll probably just stop and hold and hope that one day we'll recover. And if we hit new all-time highs in the next 12 months, I'll probably stop buying anyways and just hold for about a year until things get super crazy again. Maybe around the $100,000 or $200,000 of Bitcoin. I'll probably if Bitcoin hit 100,000, I would start pulling coins out, or pulling Bitcoins out. So, but I really do think that blockchain and Bitcoin is here to stay. However, I don't think that Bitcoin is going to actually ever be like the world's reserve currency or function as an actual currency worldwide, just because of the fact that, so I read a book by George Gilder called Life After Google: The Fall of Big Data and the Rise of the Blockchain Economy, and make some really good points about Bitcoin and blockchain in that book. And so if you guys don't know, George Gilder, he has written like 20 different books. One of his books called Life After Television, he basically predicted the smartphone back in 1994. The quote from that is, "The most common personal computer of the next decade will be a digital cellular phone with an IP address, connecting to thousands of databases of all kinds. It will be as portable as your watch and as personal as your wallet. It will recognize speech and navigate streets. It will collect your mail, your news, and your paychecks. That's 1994. He wrote that 24 years ago. And he did say of the next decade. So while cell phones did become super popular in that next decade, they didn't actually do these things like recognize speech and navigate streets until about 2 decades later, after 1994. So I think that's kind of an instance where things kind of develop a little bit slower than people realize, but eventually they do get developed, and probably every single person who's watching this, big chance you're watching it on your phone, and if not, you got your phone in your pocket and it recognizes speech and navigates, and you have access to your bank account and all that just right on your cell phone. So very forward-thinking guy, George Gilder, Life After Google. Definitely recommend reading that book. But he kind of makes the point that Bitcoin will never be an actual currency because it can't act as a measuring stick, which is the most important thing that a currency does. So what he means by acting as a measuring stick is you need to, when you hear a price, you need to know like if something's a good deal or not. Like, for example, when you go to buy gas at the gas station, it says $3.50 on the board, and so you kind of know if that's like a good price relative to other gas stations in the area, and or if it's just a good time to buy gasoline for your car. And you kind of just know what you're paying it because it uses the dollar as a measuring stick. It's just like when you go to a restaurant and a hamburger is like $10. That's like a normal price at a restaurant. But if it was like $30, you're gonna be like, okay, that's like a little bit expensive for a hamburger. Is it really worth that? So the reason that Bitcoin won't actually ever function as a measuring stick is because it's deflationary. So every single year, over time, the inflation on Bitcoin will drop to zero. So over time, the inflation for Bitcoin keeps on getting less and less. If that actually happens and there is mainstream adoption, then the price is going to go through the roof for Bitcoin. So that's not actually, that's the best case scenario, that we get mass adoption, everyone is buying Bitcoin as a store of value, and the value of Bitcoin is going up. That would be great, but that actually wouldn't work as a currency, let alone a worldwide currency. So that's kind of why I think that Bitcoin, it won't be like the world's reserve currency, but we still do need stores of value. I mean, if you look at gold, if you look at stocks, if you look at all these different kinds of things, people need places to store their money. They want to earn as much money as they can. Obviously, they want to keep the money in a place where it's not going to be destroyed by interest. And I think Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, over the long run, the ones that succeed will be very good at doing that. And I think that just the newer generation of people who've grown up on the internet, using cell phones, playing video games, having digital assets, I think people that are being born today and people that are my age and younger are really more likely to adopt Bitcoin than the older generation. And as that continues, as time goes on, there's just going to be more and more people that are familiar with digital goods and comfortable with that, and I think that's where the people are going to start leaning towards to store their value, as well as just securities like real estate and stocks being offered on a blockchain. I think that's all going to happen. I really don't know what projects are going to use. People are going to use for that. A lot of things are going to change. There's definitely going to be a lot of currencies that fail, cryptocurrencies that fail, but I think Bitcoin is here to stay. I think other major projects like Stellar, EOS, really have interesting propositions. Monero, I think there is going to be a case for completely anonymous transactions like Monero or Zcash. Uh, yeah, so just blockchain is it's gonna be here to stay. There's going to be bubbles. This is probably not the last bubble. Um, yeah, so I'm just going to be buying every single month in Bitcoin and other coins that I like, other projects that I think have a lot of potential. I think that there's maybe a 25% chance I'm completely wrong and everything goes to zero, and in 10 years, probably the $25,000 I would have put into cryptocurrency will disappear, but I think that there's like a 75% chance that that this is the best thing I could be buying right now. And I'm not putting all of my net worth into cryptocurrency. I think so far I've maybe put about 10% of my net worth into cryptocurrency. My current holdings are less than 10% of my net worth, just since they've over halved in the past year. But yeah, I think over the long run, it's really promising, really exciting, and I can't wait for 2022, when I think Bitcoin and a lot of others are going to be through the roof, and people are going to regret not buying now when everything is so cheap. Anyways, I hope you guys are still hanging in there. People that have bought cryptocurrencies and lost a lot of money, I feel for you. It does really suck to see things tank that you were expecting to go up, but I think like no one really deserves to make a lot of money unless they're like going against the herd and doing things, buying when everyone is panicking. And when I was buying, when it was, when it went past 10,000 all the way up to when it was at like 19,000, when I was buying on the way up, it was like fear of missing out, and everyone's saying we're going to $1 million of Bitcoin, and I'm just kind of like, in the back of my head, I knew this was probably too good to be true. So many people had already made so much money. It kind of seemed like those people needed an exit plan, but I still, against my intuition, I kept on buying as we were going up. And right now I have this my not like my intuition is telling me to buy, but then every single time it drops. Like over the last month, the price cut like almost in half, and it's like, that really sucks. And then that panic starts to build, and it's like, oh, maybe I was wrong. But I kind of didn't listen to my intuition when I was buying on the way up, and I kind of just panic bought. And so I'm trying to learn from those mistakes and not panic sell. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. I'll put that link to the book in the video description so you can check out the book Life After Google. Very interesting read. The guy's made some amazing predictions over the years, and definitely recommend it. All right, see ya.